Yesterday, Culture Casino and I reacted to the news of a Haunted Mansion-themed bar coming to the Disney Treasure, a cruise ship under the Disney banner. Additional info has come out since then, so we're going to talk about that here on Back Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, and with me now is Vash Sky. Vash, you doing well today?
I am doing very, very well. Just, catching up on a few things, and Jonas calls me up and said, "Hey, you wanna record a video on this?" I'm like, "Absolutely, 100%." So I am rare and ready to be here.
I know, I love doing these things. But today we get to talk about, we have more details, and I guess this is a part two because the first part of the discussion came out yesterday. We're talking about the first ever Haunted Mansion bar that is coming to the Disney Treasure in 2024. This by Jacqueline Logan, PR manager at the Walt Disney Company. And seems like a nice person there, based on her picture there. Sure. We like to go with those snap judgments here, of course.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I have some eerie news for you just in time for Halloween. Happy haunts will soon materialize on the high seas at the Haunted Mansion Parlor, the world's first Haunted Mansion-inspired bar on Disney Cruise Line's newest ship, the Disney Treasure. So they are confirming here that it is, in fact, a Haunted Mansion inspired bar. I'd say they've gone a little farther here by saying it's inspired by literally having Haunted Mansion in the name of the bar.
Yeah. We used to say themed, right? So a Haunted Mansion themed bar. It's like, okay, got it.
Right.
Inspired, we're curious with the language for sure from Disney.
Right. So what will they have? They'll have inspired craft cocktails and an exclusive onboard merchandise collection to nostalgic decor and beloved characters. The Haunted Mansion Parlor will immerse guests in the next chapter of the Haunted Mansion saga. Oh, we're using the word saga now.
Interesting.
Bringing this fan favorite lore to life in a whole new way. The one-of-a-kind experience will be a swinging wake unlike any other. Good use of the lore there. That a jovial captain who entered the ghostly realm after a disastrous dinner with his beloved fiancée. That, first of all, that is very, very well in keeping with the way that Haunted Mansion works. I like the Disneyland Paris version, especially, where they really tie everything together into the Haunted Mansion lore. Now, on to the spicier moments here. We reacted to this earlier. We have the hitchhiking ghosts in front of a wall of liquor. So, I kind of take issue with that. But
right.
Let's take a look here. You will also encounter a few legendary characters from the original Disney Parks attraction, as well as some new seafaring arrivals in a portrait gallery depicting the Disney Treasure's own ghostly residents. This is where I took issue. So the issue that I see here is that the three hitchhiking ghosts are essentially reading kind of like cartoon characters, even though they're audio animatronics, and they have appeared, I think they've probably appeared in the most recent Haunted Mansion film. I haven't gotten around to seeing that one yet. I think there's a bit of I'm not alone in that particular demographic.
Yeah, that is for sure. And they have appeared in kind of animated form at the end of, I think, the Walt Disney World version of the attraction. Right now, I think they play with the guests, let's say, in their own kind of spooky way as part of the ending of that attraction. So it looks like they're doing a version of that here, which is interesting.
Yeah, I liked the old bit, but I can see the charm of the newer bit, where people's heads are being removed and switched out, and all of that.
I'm a traditionalist when it comes to the hitchhiking ghosts, but yeah, I can see the charm as well.
Yeah, so here is the part where I take more of an issue with this. They have these drink recipes here, which these I don't know if it's that they will prepare them and charge you an arm and a leg at the actual Haunted Mansion Parlor. And there it is, the Disney branding for the Disney Treasure and the Haunted Mansion branding right here. Sympathetic libations, which is obviously a joke on sympathetic vibrations. The ghoulish delight, charming, but also very much tied into the original IP that was arguably made for children. Going back here, a ghostly twist on a classic margarita presented to guests amidst a swirl of flavored smoke will be another signature drink at the Haunted Mansion Parlor. I have a problem with this. I know that I might be in the minority here, or maybe I'm not. I don't like the alcohol being centered on Disney brands in particular. Now, alcohol in the parks in general, that's a little bit more allowable. Obviously, Club 33, that was the only way you could get it in Disneyland for a while. Disneyland Paris, they begrudgingly allowed it. Obviously, the Epcot World Showcase available there because you have all these higher end restaurants and a lot of people want to do wine pairings with that. So, but this right here, I believe this is a next step that they're taking here, and I take some issue with it because these are essentially children's brands when it comes down to it. Haunted Mansion is probably a lot of kids' first real foray into that haunted. I'm trying to get scared by something that I know is really safe realm. So
yeah, probably.
I don't know, and I also don't know. Is this something that kids will be going into with their parents or guardians or whatever, and they're just expected not to drink? Or is this something where kids aren't allowed in it? I don't know. I haven't been to a bar at Disney because that just doesn't appeal to me.
Right.
Vash?
Well, this is interesting because Disney has been doing this for a little while now, including the kind of franchise-inspired cocktails, right? So we see this at Jock Lindsay's, at Disney Springs a number of years ago. Most recently, probably the most famous example is Oga's Cantina in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. They had Star Wars-themed drinks on order there. Usually what they will do in this instance, because they understand that obviously, adults are going to bring their kids in with them, is they'll usually have a non-alcoholic menu set aside with IP-themed drinks as well on there, so that kids can engage somewhat. One could argue, okay, well, now are you kind of pushing the drinking lifestyle on your kids and so forth? I think that's a genuine discussion there. However,
that's an interesting point. The idea that, okay, well, obviously all of these are alcoholic beverages, so are you pushing the alcohol? But then if you do add those beverages here, are you then going ahead and pushing alcohol by behavior standards? Like candy cigarettes.
It's an interesting thing. I think Walt was very much against drinking of any kind on the parks, right? He won dry parks for everything he did, including the St. Louis park that was proposed for a little bit. Actually, the point of contention there was the fact that I believe it was, who was it? I believe he was a kind of a famous politician in that area who was pushing for Walt to include alcohol sales as part of a park proposed there, and Walt adamantly refused, and that kind of, well, that's what happened to the St. Louis park, right? So he definitely won stuff that was dry, but you had to think about Walt's day. Drinking was looked at very differently than it is now.
Right, so which is interesting because we know that, forgive me for saying this coarsely, but Walt Disney himself was a fan of alcohol.
Right.
But also did not want it in his park.
What would happen at amusement parks at the time is you'd have some soldiers getting back from overseas or something, go into a bar, drink, and kind of bring that behavior with them in those amusement parks, right? So it was like, okay, well, I don't want that happening at my park, and so now with a kind of a contemporary kind of mindset. It's done a lot more casually. It's done a lot more socially. I think Disney's playing into that specifically there.
The one thing I'll add right here is the Haunted Mansion Parlor is one of several Disney Parks inspired venues that will debut on board the Disney Treasure. Right. The exciting lineup will also include Skipper Society, a lounge inspired by the Jungle Cruise Parks attraction, and Periscope Pub, which is inspired by the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea Parks attraction. So 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, obviously that was a ride and a movie. I will say, I've looked at the pictures for this. Sorry, they are not as directly tied to the things that they are inspired by in the way that the Haunted Mansion one is. The Skipper Society bar, as opposed to the Jungle Cruise Cabana and Periscope Pub, is not, well, it would have been the Nemo, but the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea bar and grill, or whatever you want to call it. I suppose it is a little bit better if it is a bar and grill. Now, Jock Lindsay, that's Indiana Jones theme, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think the point of distinction here is that not so necessarily a fan of themed bars that are kind of extensions of their setting, right? So the Haunted Mansion, I mean, it's essentially Haunted Mansion personified, whereas I think with some of these other bars, like I think this is the place in which this is going to be set is where the Hyperspace Lounge is going to be set in the Wish, right? So the Hyperspace Lounge kind of is Star Wars adjacent, And but in this instance, I think the point of contention for you, Jonas, is that this is kind of like this attraction personified right here, and it's making a play for a wider audience. Maybe that includes the entire family. Is that kind of
that's pretty much where I am. I mean, we talked
Yeah.
about in the other video, the Be Our Guest restaurant happens to serve alcohol, and
Right. Okay.
Disney obviously they at some point they were gearing up to release a line of Ratatouille themed wines that had pictures of Remy on it. Now it wasn't a direct, it was a little bit more of an abstraction of Remy, but it was very clearly the character from a Pixar, and it said Disney Pixar on
Yeah.
the bottle itself. And Disney, rightly so, pulled that before it hit the shelves. We talk about that more in the other video. I want to leave some of it over there, but
right.
it's these instances where there was an opportunity for brand confusion. Now, have you ever heard the name Joe Camel, Vash?
Man, oh yes, I believe I have. Yeah, the famous mascot for a certain cigarette company.
Yeah, Camel cigarettes. And I mean, that guy was all over the place back in the
Everywhere.
day. And the charge was that he was selling cigarettes to kids, which maybe he was, because I thought it was pretty cool. I was never interested in cigarettes per se, but
sure.
I think he might have even inspired the legislation. I don't know my tobacco history here, but
he had the motorcycle jacket with the shades and everything like that. He was the cool guy, right? And it's you're making this.
Sometimes he'd be in a billiard hall looking like he's about to clean everybody out.
Right, you're making this appeal to kind of a younger audience, and well, obviously that can, go beyond 18 in some cases, right? I can in the case of the wine bottles with Disney characters on them, I can kind of see that, right? It's like, we're kind of going back and forth on the line here. I remember a series of Lassiter wines that were sold, I believe, at Napa Rose, at the distinct location in the Grand Californian at Disneyland Resort. I remember that whole thing, and I remember Toy Story characters being on that. I suppose the setting at which those things were sold kind of gave them this kind of delineating point. Whereas if you have a mass market product and you have Disney characters on it, that could be sore spot for sure. So I kind of get what you're saying there, Jonas. I think we're going to be okay here in terms of appealing to kids using Disney IP. I think this is being directed towards an older demo, but maybe they'll feature some non-alcoholic beverages as part of this. Maybe they'll actually have a food program as part of this that'll kind of take it away from its bar setting, if you will. I will say, alcoholic, bottles in front of characters. Yeah, that can get a little contentious. From my view personally on this whole thing, I think this is the best thing that I've seen WDI produce in quite a long time. I'm kind of a fan of the theme and a fan of the decor and everything like that. The merchandise looks good, but yeah, I mean, they're kind of straddling the line here.
That is a very good point. Now looking at this, and you guys should watch the video from the original thing. This actually looks like they did do a good job. I will agree with you there, Vash.
Yeah, much better than the Hyperspace Lounge. Like this looks very good.
What I would say though, if this were anything, it probably would need to be a cigar bar in order to have that full ambiance. I don't think they're going to allow that on a Disney cruise. No. They got to pick their vices, I do suppose. The unique merchandise, or exclusive merchandise, that'll be interesting to see how that ends up selling on eBay after the fact.
I have heard, that's that would be interesting, right? I have heard that the Haunted Mansion merchandise is very, very successful. It's why Disney has kind of attempted to go back to that well when it comes to the theatrical releases and so forth, because they know that merchandise does really well. They know there's an audience there. It's just they haven't quite cracked the code. On this, though, I think they did.
Yeah, and they would rather go back to the well instead of trying to dig new wells.
Oh well,
no new IPs at the Disney parks at this point, unless it is they're willing to do new IPs in television, new IPs in animation, but no new IPs within the park. Right there, though, Haunted Mansion Parlor Music Box. If I were a guy spending money on Disney stuff, that would be pretty tempting right there.
Some of this stuff looks really, really good. But you're right, though, and there is some polling that suggests coming out from Newsweek that's saying that Disney fans would prefer that they go back to original content as well.
Well, thank you so much for dropping in for this conversation, Vash. And we want to throw this out to our viewers. What do you think? Am I overblowing this here? Is Disney's new focus on alcohol, which makes them a lot of money, a good strategy for the company because it's going to shore up revenue? Is it a fine strategy because we're behind the times and just need to catch up? Or is this an aberration that is destroying the legacy of Walt Disney? We will only know if you tell us what you think down in the comments below. So you can find us at the Twitter handles above, and you can, of course, check out the description below to see if we've left you any interesting links. We'll probably link the Disney Parks blog story down there. And Vash, where can people find you?
Hey, the best place to find me is going to be on Twitter at the link right up there in the corner there. Also, too, we do regular videos on That Park Place as one of the contributors, and obviously your co-pilot, of course. And then I'm also on Theme Park Universe with Theme Park Wizard, talking about all kinds of stuff and a little bit more of long-form content. So that's definitely where you can find me.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here. Like this video if you like this video, and be sure to subscribe to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com for all the news that should be fun. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.